Hello, thanks for joining in. So, someone let me know that after learning the practice of tuning in that they felt so good while doing it. And there was kind of this sense of like, well, I want to feel this good all the time. And why do I only feel good, or feel this feeling when doing the practice? And first of all, I totally sympathize. It's it's one of the deepest challenges of the spiritual journey is, when we feel that deep connection to the divine, whether you call it God or love or source, we just want to feel it all the time. It's so good. And we have lives and we have things that, um, distract us a little bit. And we have habits. We have habits of doing things that disconnect us from that. So the first thing is, to that person and to everyone on the spiritual path, I just want to offer compassion and sympathy, and also to myself. Is it can be really intense to feel that deep love, and not to feel it all the time, because what's kind of behind this question, and what's really, I think, behind the spiritual, all of our all of our yearning is to feel this all the time, to feel this love and to feel whole, to feel loved and whole and held and peace, to feel that always. I believe that's all of our deepest heart yearnings. And in fact, Bruno Gröning, talks about getting in touch with what is your deepest heart wish. Many people interpret that as like, oh, well, it's my deepest heart wish to have a partner or to have a dream job. And I would say those are heart yearnings, but Bruno Gröning himself talks about that our deepest heart wish is actually to be free of all evil. And in a sense, that can sound like maybe a negative way of saying it. However, if we keep in mind that inherently, we already are, there's a peace within us, that God lives within us. And this love, which we connect to through tuning in, it's like it's already there. It's just tuning in removes some of the obstacles to that awareness, to that connection. So if our deepest heart yearning is to be free of all evil, then what we're saying is, I want to be free to all the obstacles, all the blockages, to, in a sense, what I already have, to what I already am. Bruno Gröning was adamant. The human being is and remains divine. It's a very strong statement. It's a very strong statement to make at the time he did, post World War II Germany, when the German people and the rest of the world were just convinced that human beings must be inherently evil for what happened in Germany to happen. And yet Bruno Gröning shows here, this simple man shows up and says, actually, no, human beings are inherently not just good, inherently divine. And when, through what he calls the force of habit, through all these little things we do that disconnect us from that good feeling, from that divine vibration, then when we connect with this thing called evil, then we become a servant of it, and we behave in ways very contrary to our nature, very contrary to our actual self. So, how to feel this feeling all the time? Well, I can tell you what Bruno Gröning said. I can't speak from personal experience because I don't feel it always. I feel it more and more often, and I still struggle sometimes too. I sometimes get caught in the force of habit. But Bruno Groening said, the practice of tuning in, the instructions are very simple. Be open to divine energy and observe your body, having the will to take in this positive energy. And he said, observe your body more and more every day, every hour, every minute, every second. So the practice is something that we can do throughout the day. Many meditative practices are a little dissociative in the sense that they dissociate us from the body and the world, right? Like closing your eyes and chanting a mantra. I'm not saying that's bad, but that's not something you can do every moment of the day. You can't close your eyes and chant a mantra. I mean, unless you just want to sit and do nothing, right? But you can observe your body all throughout the day. Notice how you're feeling. The beauty of that is that keeps the energy flowing into us. And according to Bruno Groening, through observing the body, then we'll notice. We'll notice when something doesn't feel right. That's one of the graces of having a body, Bruno Groening said, is it gives us instant feedback when something isn't good. It's almost like the body is a good and evil detector. And lastly, part of the spiritual path is to practice. Is to practice going throughout our day, being mindful, and to practice periods of sitting where we do sit, close our eyes, and practice. And that's actually what Bruno Groening said. Practice is what I say you must do. And there's grace. We don't, it's a combination of effort and grace. And the last thing I want to say is that, obviously I'm a huge fan of tuning in. That's why I teach it. It's the only practice I know of that leads to an almost immediate feeling of connection to God, awakens spiritual capacities, and heals the body and clears the mind. It has so many benefits. That's why. But whether you're doing tuning in or other spiritual practices or disciplines, the long and short of it is, while grace is available, we have to make effort. One of the great Indian sages of all time, Ramana Maharshi, who I find many of his teachings very in alignment with Bruno's teachings. Ramana Maharshi said, right now you must make effort. And at a certain point, you will be unable to make effort. Meaning that on the path, we can get to a point where effort is not required anymore, or where effort becomes effortless. In fact, Ramana Maharshi said that once you've attained self-realization, that meditation goes on effortlessly, nonstop. That which before took effort just goes on effortlessly. So it's not that we stop meditating ever. It's we get to a certain point where it becomes effortless. And until we get to that point, then we get to effort. So thanks so much for that beautiful question. And we can always ask for help. Help is always available. Grace is always available. And then it's our job to seek out that grace through our own effort until we live in grace, until grace is just around us and carries us. Take care. Much love. I wish you much striving and much grace.